Well, welcome back. We are live streaming back on Social Assurance, and I am joined with John Hanley and Jody Getter today from Equity Bank and Minnwest Bank. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about this one. When we were catching up a couple days ago, I told my team just afterwards, I said, I made a huge mistake. I put too many great ideas in the same live stream. So I have a lot of expectations, but we're going to try to get through it within an hour. But both of you have so many ideas and so many things that you've brought to the table. And I just think the world about how you're doing marketing. We're already getting some people chiming in, saying hello to you. But I know so much about what you guys are doing. But I want to kind of give you a little bit of time to introduce yourselves. Jody, you're at Minnwest Bank. Can you give us a little bit of the lay of the land? Like, what's it look like in Minnesota right now, and what's your role at the bank?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thank you for having me, Ben. I'm very flattered. I appreciate having the stage with John Hanley as well. But I have been with the bank since 2013. My role at the bank, I'm the Vice President, Director of Marketing and Sales. A little bit about Minnwest Bank. We are $2 billion in assets, privately owned community bank, and we stretch 2 states, Minnesota and South Dakota, and very heavily concentrated in the Southwest Minnesota areas, and very much known for agriculture. However, we are still quite diverse in our portfolio and do quite a bit of commercial real estate, C&I, SBA lending as well. So yeah, that's kind of our little bank in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, you got some fans out there. Yeah, people. Tom's showing you some love there. Emily, who was on last week, is saying hello to you as well. Now, Jody, you're at home working today, right?
Yeah.
And you got the whole family's at home.
Yeah, I did kick them out for a little bit. I will see how long that lasts. But yeah, we are a farming family. So we live out on the farm, and I've got the 2 kids at home attempting to homeschool them, and have been doing that for 6-ish weeks now, I think. Bit of a blur, but yeah, we're at home trying to juggle that. And then in the ag community right now, this is our really, really busy time too. We're kind of getting our crops in the ground, and we've had amazing weather so far. So trying to kind of juggle the farm life, the bank life, the school life too right now.
Awesome. And all of our teachers deserve a raise, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking a little time with us. John, give us a little introduction of you and Equity Bank.
Sure. So I'm John Hanley. I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Equity Bank. We are headquartered in Wichita, Kansas. I work out of our Kansas City, Missouri office. We have 52 branches throughout 4 states. That's Kansas, that's Missouri, that's Oklahoma, that's Arkansas. I live in Lawrence, Kansas. If there's any Jayhawk fans out there, that's where I am talking to you from today. And Equity it has grown through a combination of organic growth and business combinations with regional banks in our footprint. So over the last 7 years that I've been with the company, we've merged and incorporated 9 different brands into Equity's footprint. We're all Equity Bank now, but that's how we've made our name is keeping service in the communities. And you can see me looking off screen because I joked on LinkedIn that my cat was going to jump into the frame in 4 seconds. And he is watching me right now behind the iPhone. So when it happens, just want everybody to not be too freaked out. But yeah, that's our story. And I'm proud to have a few minutes with you guys today.
That's a lot of Equity brands all in one spot. So. Yep. Well, awesome. And I know, John, you're going to mention a specific band for us as well, as we're talking about brands. I know we were joking a little bit on Twitter that, before my last Floby cut, I was getting pretty close to the Beatles, but not quite to your favorite band, Pearl Jam, right?
Right. So my favorite band is Pearl Jam. They are actually over my shoulder here. You can see the new release, Gigaton. It's a great album. There's another album above that. If anybody can guess what that is and email me, I'll give you a shout out on Twitter. But yeah, I'm a huge PJ fan, and it broke my heart to have to miss him a couple times this spring, but we'll see him late fall or next year or whenever things pick back up.
Awesome. Well, as we were kind of talking through, when I reached out to you guys a little over a week ago to say, hey, could we do a chat? We were kind of talking through, we didn't really know where this was going to sit. We knew that PPP lending was kind of hot and heavy in that time. Both of your banks were deep in that process. Yeah. And maybe you can give us a little bit of the follow-up of where are you at today? What did you go through in that PPP process, and where are the banks at today?
Sure, I can start, Jody.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so it's been about a month of PPP lending, if I'm not mistaken. I think we opened our floodgates on April 3rd, and the way Equity went about this, I couldn't be more proud of our teams. We recognize we're a community bank, as Jody's is, as many people watching are, and in circumstances like this, you want to do the right thing for your communities, and that's businesses that are sole prop up through small business lining main streets in your communities. And so, with limited guidance that I think we had starting out the process, we sort of jumped in and stitched together a workflow using our CRM, using our website, using a couple other tools, and we had, like other banks had, lenders and sales teams and processors and credit admin folks up all hours of the night to make sure that customers were getting the Paycheck Protection Program apps done accurately and getting funding quickly, which I don't think anybody was sure how quick that would happen. We've been able to we're looking at over 2,200 customers that we've helped now. That's over $500 million in funding, and they're not huge deals. It really is the Main Street businesses that have needed these loans, and we've been proud to help facilitate that. Just trusted to do the job of the communities. That's what a community bank does, and it's been. I don't want to take all the time here, but it's been great for us on social, and I think we have a lot of Equity followers watching us now. But our teams kind of rallied around. There are more likes and shares internally and externally that we've seen before, particularly on LinkedIn, and it's great to see that validation as you do the right thing for the community. So.
Yeah. I have to echo, a lot of John's sentiment too. When Congress first passed the CARES Act, we were all scrambling. This is over 800 pages of legislature that we had to interpret. And there wasn't a lot of very concise direction from, like the SBA, and even the SBA, to their kind of credit, if you will, they were trying to figure it out, too. And so for us, it was, what do we need to understand to not only as a bank determine what do we need to do, but then how are we going to communicate this to our customers, the people that are really needing some direction and relief right now. And so I think, again, our bank, and I have to give my entire team, the marketing team, and the entire organization a massive plug right now as well. The amount of resources that we just immediately deployed, that this is our number one priority, marketing, determining what needed to be communicated to customers, when and how, and then how did that translate over to internal communications to, we were training staff at the same time we were communicating to the public as well, to make sure that we were moving quickly and being super responsive to what was going on in the market as well. And so translating 800 pages of legislation into an infographic or an FAQ was a massive undertaking, but it had to be super palatable for that end user to even understand. So we were helping them through the process, not making it, more complicated. And then on top of that, we, at the start of this, had an SBA department of 3. And clearly our primary concern from an operational perspective was how are we even going to have the capacity to manage the influx of applications? And so we did a really good job early on of who else can we train on the SBA system? Who else can help with underwriting? Who else can even just manage phone calls and email inquiries, and how to best even manage that so the appropriate conversations were happening. And to date too, we're over 1,500 customers and community members supported. I think I got the numbers this morning, over 140 million in PPP loans that's going to be staying with our community, and that's huge. And the team and the hours put in for this. Somebody, I think it was, I was speaking with another banker that was joking about like bankers' hours. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, up until midnight inputting loans, that's the new bankers' hours right now. And they've just done a tremendous job.
Wow. Well, and Jody, I've got to give you props to your bank has a great tagline that I want you to plug, this doers welcome.
Yeah.
Like how have you leveraged that in this time to really extend into that PPP process?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you build out a brand, it is so much more than a website or a logo or a tagline. It really is from the inside out. It really is the sentiment of the personnel and what you do on a daily basis with your customers, with each other, and how that translates over to that essentially emotional connection, with the brand and the public perception. And kind of going back to the brand, we all feel that we come from very kind of humble beginnings, and we're all the people that have grown, with the brand as well. And we're the ones in the trenches with our customers. We're the ones that are rolling up our sleeves and getting to know the business and, with our customers as well. And I feel that what we've done within our messaging around, COVID-19, as well as actually what we've displayed is, we haven't just said, that doers are welcome or that we're here to help. I think we've done a tremendous job breathing more life into the brand by our actual actions and how we've demonstrated that and how that's even translated over to kind of community sentiment and how the brand's perceived as well. It's very fitting right now.
I love that. And you're getting some shout outs from a bunch of familiar faces out there.
Hunter Young with the love.
Yeah. Hunter's rolling with his new gig and I think getting a lot of love out there on social. I know both of you were interviewed there too. So a lot of good things happening out there. Now, when we kind of look at, you sort of have gone through this process of lending, and as marketers, you've had an integral role in this process, kind of unlike it at any other time, I think. Can both of you speak to a little bit of what that's been like as in the marketing role for moving from all of a sudden we have a disaster that our customers need to know about. They just need to know what to do. But then also, how do you mobilize and get people behind that brand?
John?
Yeah, sure. It was interesting. It started off in mid-March that we started. Every bank did this, and some did it better than others. Getting messaging in front of your customers about where you were, how you bank with us digitally, things like that. But I think when PPP came about, that sort of shifted it into high gear for our bank and certainly our marketing team, in that you've got something positive to communicate. Honestly, I mean, it's negative times. Of course, we're all uncertain. We're working from home. We're half and half deployed, and nobody knows anything really. But at least you get to communicate that, hey, we're going to help you with this because we're figuring it out on our end as well. And just being able to have that to kind of market internally and externally. And I've been in banking more than 10 years now, almost 15. And it's rare that you have that same type of communication, that you're educating your consumer base at the exact same time you're educating yourselves and your team, and the marketing materials have to sort of do both, and your voice has to sort of accomplish both on social. And that's where we saw a big benefit with all of our marketing comm materials during this time. And the lending cycle is not usually as compressed as it was for this, so having your sales teams be up and at them and converting and everything like that, really is, I don't want to say it's the speed marketers prefer to work at, but we can, right? And so you're able to mobilize that communication quickly, and you've got this machine that's really working. And I think the best thing that I see about it is that you've made a difference for hundreds of customers in your community, and now you've got X percentage of those that have never banked with you before, and they're here now. And so what are you going to do as marketers with them from here on out? That's really exciting to me.
Yeah. We were talking the other day as well, and we came into 2020, we're only a few months into the year, and all of us had this entire 2020 marketing plan, strategy built out, budget built out, and we were really kicking things off and really getting momentum going. And then clearly all of a sudden this massive bomb dropped on all of us, and we had to pivot so dramatically, so quickly, and really rethink entire marketing strategy. And it wasn't just about, we weren't just looking at it, what do we need to just communicate, right? It became, what is the new marketing strategy that we have that encompasses crisis communication, as well as content strategy, as well as social strategy, PR, employee morale, brand culture. This entire COVID-19 really morphed into this new marketing strategy that we know today. And even as we start to feel like we're pivoting back a little bit, like we're getting a little bit of relief in the sense of, the immediate needs, it's how do we now take this COVID-19 marketing strategy and then start moving it into a longer term strategy? What does the next 3 months look like, 6 months look like? And take a lot of, even as John said, the really good things that we've figured out and we've solved, but how do we kind of build on that framework and continue to elevate those really, really good things that are happening internally and even externally in our communities, and leverage that for marketing good?
It's interesting. One of the things I heard both of you say is that we had to figure this out as it was happening. And, as an entrepreneur that is usually on the other side of the table, it's really refreshing message to hear that banks are having to figure it out. And what you're starting to see is the banks that can be entrepreneurial thinkers and message as they're figuring it out. It finally gave you that chance to be vulnerable with your message and say, we don't have it all figured out, just like you don't have it all figured out. And I think there's some real trust building that's happened in that process. And both of you have emulated that.
Yeah, especially in community banks, I think. I think community banks have really just shone in this, and really were the ones that were paving the way to make sure that that their customers and their businesses and their communities really were looked after as much as they can.
Yeah, and we, entrepreneurial spirit's one of our core values. One of our ad campaigns we've run previously is, we're not just bankers, we're business people too, or we're built by business people for you. But that is refreshing to be able to hear an entrepreneur like yourself, Ben, kind of liken the experience here. And we like to think we're pretty good at helping businesses figure it out as well. And what better way to prove it than these last few weeks? It's been energizing to everybody in the company.
We started with a loan from a community bank. And so when, a lot of my tech friends laughed at me because they said, well, why don't you just go, take this angel, VC money and all this stuff. And I'm like, what'd you give up for that? And now a lot of them are saying, hey, about that PPP thing, how does that work? So it's a funny thing to see kind of come full circle. But what I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit, we've got a bunch of topics and people are starting to message in some questions. Tom's got a good one that I think he's bringing up is Did either of you use PPP to prospect new customers, or did you just focus on existing customers in that process? How did that land for both of you?
Yeah, good.
I'd be glad to take that one, Jody.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm pretty proud of our efforts with new customers here, and that it opened some doors for us with prospects as well. And one of the things we did is our teams were all in, right? So they're making sure they're calling their customers that they know are going to be affected. But we also have working prospect lists in every one of our bank locations, and it gives them a great door opener, not just for the lender who knows how to open doors or knows how to get in and make the sale, but the personal banker or the bank manager that may not have done that before, and that they're able to look at a list by vertical and kind of do that. And the whole social and digital advertising process we had built around this too was funneling new leads in, and I do think we've done a good job at emerging from the competitors of ours that maybe weren't doing PPP so well or couldn't.
Yeah. From our perspective too, as I mentioned earlier, we had a department of 3 for SBA. And so we were really, at the start of everything, really, really concerned about the capacity of processing these loans. And so our immediate priority at that point was we need to make sure our customers are educated, have the resources, have the information, and really not jeopardize. We didn't want to jeopardize our relationships and our service with those customers. However, as we evolved the process and again realized we need to change our complete loan workflow to even manage this, it did open up, as John said, these opportunities with a larger audience. And the sentiment that we have in our markets too was that with the communications we were putting together and the content we were distributing too, that we really were one of the leaders, or at least perceived leaders in the marketplace, with understanding what the program entails, which again then opened up opportunity for people coming even to our bank with, you guys are telling us what to do. Nobody else is telling us what to do. And so it certainly created new business opportunity out of that.
Now, when you think about, obviously both of you had new business come out of this opportunity. How are you starting to measure the impact of that for your bank, both in sort of dollars and sort of immediate business, but also in brand and community equity?
Well, a couple of things. I think one of the things that, from a metric perspective, as we talk about the volumes of the loans and the amount of businesses supported, we've really backed into that too, as what does that mean for the amount of employees that are going to have payroll. Really, and from a community perspective, that's our number one kind of component of this. Means that over 1,500 businesses within our communities now have, and the average loan I think we had was around like 200,000. That's a lot of payroll. That it means people can invest back into the community. They can pay for groceries. They can pay for utilities. And so looking at those core metrics are really important. And we have been public in sharing that information because we wanted to make sure that our communities knew what we were doing and what we were doing for them, as well as then, obviously also acknowledging the hard work of the employees too. And so there's certainly a lot of kind of earned media and that comes with that, as well as then, again, from a brand recognition and top of mind awareness, again, that emotional connection. People are seeing what we're doing. We're not just saying we're doing it too. There's some validity between, all of the fancy marketing taglines that come with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll follow up with that. Is that the time frame and the environment here, I think, gave community banks like Jody's and certainly mine. We thought it was important to get those numbers out there to the public to see them. It's an opportunity, one, to show that you are helping. For us, it's now like 85,000 employees in our communities, but dollar figure, this many customers are working through. So it's showing your speed and your capability and your expertise, and that's real to people when they're seeing it in earned media. And we had some success there, just like we did on social. But it's really gratifying that people are able to see that and think, oh, okay, this bank I maybe thought about a couple times in the past, they're a real thing, right? And so they might take a chance if their application is hung up in a web server with a much larger bank. They might give a call to our lender or things like that. And measuring metrics and where we go from here. I mean, you're talking X new customers that you're going to get to onboard or you're going to get to have conversations with. We've also seen, I'm excited for tomorrow when I get to look at my April website acquisition metrics and, the click-throughs and shares. And I know even midway through April, our deposit account applications had grown by 50% over the previous month. And there's something there, and there's something to the power of earned media and public relations and social relations here, and doing what's right for the community that really has motivated people to take action.
Have both of you, Jody, you mentioned earned media first. Did you see some other opportunities with other media outlets and things like that started to pick up this message?
Yeah, we actually had quite a few actually. One specifically, again, it was at least from our seat and public, comments that we were one of the leaders in getting information out there and providing direction. And so we did get viewed from local media outlets as essentially kind of the resource that knew about Paycheck Protection Program and the CARES Act and all of these other financial assistance programs, because we're the ag side and we do have the business side too. So there was also the Department of Ag and Minnesota Deed and a lot of other financial assistance programs going on. And so we were very proactive in communicating even more than just PPP. And we did pick up news stories as well as, interviews with, our bankers as well, which again, just further positioned, the brand as the trusted expert with it when it comes to what was going on right now.
Yeah, I think it's the third, if you have a three-legged stool for education where you're educating internally and externally, and media is that third leg. And I think this is that compressed time frame where you've got reporters and papers, large and small, and trade pubs who are like, okay, someone's got to help me with this. Who can I go to? And if your bank's able to position themselves, and I think this is the maybe 13,000th podcast one of us at Equity Bank has done throughout the last month. Those types of opportunities are great because they allow your people to show expertise and you to really take the lead as a thought and public relations leader in your community. And that's been huge for us, just like it was with Jody.
Yeah, it starts to extend those messages back and forth. And I appreciate that three-legged stool, like you said. That third leg of getting free media publication is huge. There's some real value to that. So what do you feel like is the answer? How do you maximize, both of you have maximized this opportunity from a marketing communications perspective. What did it take for you to maximize that?
It took, I think this is kind of what you lay in wait for as a marketer. And that sounds more sneaky than I think we are, although we can be sneaky. But, you've got the communication skills. That's why your bank has you in-house, right? Is that they know they have a story to tell, they know they have messaging to tell, and they know they're going to need it at some point. And what I've called on my team to be able to do, and they've done great. Katie, Natalie, Kayla, if you're watching, they're not. But I think what there is there's a freedom to work quickly and experiment, and you may fail fast with some type of messaging or publication, but you can pivot. You're in an environment where the communication has to be good before it's perfect, and that's what people are gravitating towards, and that's what you can do in a limited time frame for your company. And I think good bank marketing directors kind of sit on the edge of what's possible for their bank in the next month, the next year, the next decade. And this is a time where you get to step in and lead and help your CEO or your CSO or whatever execute the vision there. And we've been able to do that, and I'm excited for what's next.
Yeah. I think one of the things that has been empowering and refreshing and exciting all at once, even in a very stressful climate too, has been the marketing group has really just owned it. And I am just so incredibly proud of my crew as well. We really, before even any major decisions were made at the bank around, bank operations, and even before PPP was really rolled out, I feel like our team was already in motion. We were already having the discussions. We were already crafting communications. We were already looking at our media buys and navigating through that. And so when those decisions were made, we were ready to go, and we were ready and raring. And we really, since then, I think have kind of taken that and just continued to run with that with, branch initiatives, creating new creative to support the media buys, so we weren't kind of going dark. A lot of the various things that were going. And so I think that it's created this, momentum for the marketing department too, which I feel we need to, quite frankly, continue to capitalize on, right? Everyone's just like, Jody's got it, the team's got it, just let them kind of do their thing. And so I'm like, yeah, we're just going to keep this trajectory, in the right direction. And so we've really started to kind of then shift gears a little bit to, okay, what's next, and how do we kind of, again, get that marketing strategy evolving, and what does the next phase of messaging look like? And I feel like we've got a really good framework to build upon that will continue success internally as well as, for the bank as well.
I've used this quote from Peter Drucker a number of times where he says, marketing and innovation are the two areas that differentiate a business. Everything else is a cost center. And as marketers, this is the time where we see the differentiator. Yeah. And both of you are sort of showing that by moving really fast. I'm really encouraged by the way that both of you have kind of approached that to say, hey, John was a little sneaky about it. Yeah. Laying in wait for this moment. But he also has a cat that's laying there just waiting to get it shot too. So I get it. It's just kind of
I learned by example, right?
Yeah. I like it, but I mean, I think as marketers that we do wait for those moments. And Jody, your team's recognizing that your leadership in that moment is ready. It was ready for that, and you moved quickly. Have both of you experienced sometimes, and I'll confess, I've had some in the last month where I sat down to write a marketing message and I just couldn't do it. There was too much going on. I had to just stop. Have you experienced that?
Yes, I have. In addition to how many times can you write this same thing with a little bit different spin? But also it's when are you going to put out your banner that says, free chips with your next account? I don't know we're ever going to do something like that again. I don't know that that's what people were after. And it's nice. I think, Ben, in a conversation you and I had earlier in this process, finding your purpose is so important. And this is when, this is the time banks needed to step up. This is the time that people need you. And if you're not a marketer who's going to, take that ball and run with it, I don't know what you're doing working for that bank. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. To your question, Ben, about just writer's block, marketer's block. I think one of the things, yes, absolutely, is my answer to that. I think one of the things that I feel like I was really forced to overcome, I like to take on too much, and a little bit notorious for that. And one of the things I was really forced to overcome was really understanding my role in the process, my team's individual roles in the process, and even, globally across the entire organization, other people that were willing and able to play a role in the process too. So a lot of the things that we did accomplish, especially I would say even internally as we talk about, branding and culture and things, I was like, yes, go for it. Take it and run with it. Do what you need to do. Here's my credit card. Like, do what you need to do. So it allowed me to empower other people to step up and lift their game and encourage and motivate them. And then it allowed me to then do the same as my role as the director of marketing and sales as well. So then I was really then focused in on the really critical key components that needed to take place and reduce some of that, writer's block, if you will.
Yeah, I think, and Jody said something important there that I wanted to piggyback on, is that none of us marketers or our marketing teams, 4 or 5 people, whatever they may be, none of us did this alone. You know what I mean? This was a great time to be able to kind of pull the shade up on your creative process. Yeah. Right. And you have to keep that fire stoked, but you also are, maybe for the first time for some of us, letting certain people in the organization see how it is you do what you do. And that's taking this boilerplate text and turning it into a quick hit slogan on Facebook or something like that, or taking the story you're supposed to tell and making it shorter and more succinct, and helping your market leaders or even your frontline bankers tell it. And I think being able to see that workflow is valuable to marketers as well, because your clients, for lack of a better term, get to see what it is you really do. You're not just the fun department that's creating things. What we can do. Right? Exactly. You get to see what's possible and hopefully have the trust of your bank for them to be excited about what you do next.
Yeah. I like that. Lift the shades.
I completely agree. And I wanted, everyone to understand that both of you are mortal. I mean, really, at the end of the day, the reality is, it's a really hard time. And while we're highlighting some huge success stories, you guys have been able to overcome that, and with a team. And I think, like you said, John, your team's learning from that too, and they're learning from the struggle. If it was easy, then nobody really be learning that much right now. But we feel exhausted at the end of the day because we're learning. So now we talked a little bit beforehand that both of your banks are opening up again soon. Give me a little status update. Where are you at with the banks opening up? What does that look like?
So for us, we're in 4 states, so we're being respective to whatever the continued stay-at-home orders may be. That I think Kansas is announcing theirs tonight, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma. So our states and then the localities are going to play a big role in what we decide to do. But when we do open doors, which for several locations will most likely be Monday, we know that there's a little bit of business that's still not quite as usual for both our team members and customers coming in the location. So, we've got methods in place to help alleviate that, to make sure, we're okay with face masks walking in the door. We're wearing them ourselves. In some occasions, we're taking our temperatures, and we're positioning that as a positive, because when you look back at the last 6 weeks, your grocery store workers and gas station attendants and numerous other businesses have worked much harder than I have to take care of their communities. And I think as a community bank, you want to be open alongside them, and you want to be respectful to your customers, just like they were to all of us. And as we work together to get back to normal.
Yeah, we, again, a lot of it is determined from, at the state level and the governments when we actually decide to open and kind of have business as usual. We definitely are seeing, again, the more conversation now of what does that look like? What does return to work look like for our employees? And then what does it look like for the customers as well? And so really putting that framework together, with the number one focus always being, the health and safety of the, employees and, and the customers as well. And then, again, how do we then communicate that too? It's not just going to be like, oh, we're open for business again. There's still a lot of concerns out there. And I had a meeting yesterday, and it was, I think it was a Gallup study, and it was something like 76% of Americans are scared to return to work, and that's the vast majority of the population. And so how do we as marketers and as a bank really acknowledge that and think about what does that customer experience look like going forward? Is this changed forever in the sense that, things aren't going to go back to normal? So what do we need to anticipate to ensure that we can continue to service our customers, engage with them, drive brand loyalty, drive deposit growth, drive, product adoption when they're not coming into the banks and having maybe less conversations, with a banker as well. So I'm thinking that we really need to start thinking through, and quite frankly too, John acknowledged that the digital adoption and the online usage, the numbers are there. Like people, it used to be a convenience service, but now it's like a critical service as well. So, things are very different than, what they used to be too. So how do we take that and then evolve that going forward?
You sort of talked about it a little bit, Jody, but the sensitivities towards coming back to work. Mm-hmm. How are you thinking about messaging that about, because we want to know that Minnwest's employees are safe.
Yeah.
We also want to know that we're, as a customer, that we're safe coming in. Mm-hmm. How are you thinking about that? And what do you message on that to help?
Yeah, I certainly don't have the silver bullet answer right now, but I think exactly what we've been doing. We've been very transparent, with our customers. We haven't tried to put, fluff around, what's going on. And I think our customers are appreciating that. They want to know how they can bank with us, how XYZ affects that, and what are we doing about it? And I think as we go back into, branch openings, they want to know their safety is being looked after. They want to know the people that they're looking after, interacting with are being looked after as well. And so I would say continuing with, what we're already doing as it relates to the types of communication and how we're communicating.
Yeah, I think, I think it underlines for me the power of authentic communication. Because customers in the last 6 weeks, but even before that, they can start to smell a rat, for lack of a better term, if you're not being straightforward and honest and respectful with them. And I think that's just doubled down. People are worried. They don't have time for nonsense, and you have to drizzle in the fun where it's appropriate, but be respectful and authentic most of all as you continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We did a social media post. This is too in the weeds, but where I was able to drizzle in some of the fun, where it was just a paycheck protection program, right? Tongue twister, and we had a P starting every single word in the sentence, and I was so like that on social, and see it get likes, even as my teams, not just in marketing, were probably like, oh my God, what did you do? But
I love it.
That's the type of balance we're going to have to strike for the near term and the long term with whatever we communicate.
Yeah. I mean, we still need Saturday Night Live. We still need humor in the world right now. We still need some good news from John Krasinski, all this sort of good things. So I think you're right on, John. And now both of you have brands that you've dug in some kind of unique ways. One of the things I think of, Jody, when I think of Minnwest, is the blog articles that you have done as a bank to really highlight heroes. A lot of that's been ag heroes, but you've really highlighted these heroes. How are you thinking about that going forward for the heroes during this time? We have a lot of them. How are you thinking about those stories?
Yeah, for those that aren't aware, we really invested a lot into our ag content, the last kind of 12 months or so. We learned a lot by trial and error from a paid marketing perspective, what worked, what didn't work, and how we really wanted to focus in on growing that area of business, and not only growing it, but retaining, the existing ag customer base that we have. It's a critical component to our business. And so we did roll out a couple of different content pieces celebrating women in ag. And so we do a monthly highlight of various women in agriculture, and really highlighting diversity in the roles within agriculture too, really showcasing that ag is more than just, being on the farm. And one of the primary objectives too around that was we're in a lot of aging and shrinking markets as well. And so it's core for our longevity in these communities too, that the next generation and the youth stay in these communities too. And a lot of those job opportunities will be in various fields within agriculture too. So really showcasing that. The second part is we also have utilized a social influencer, the Millennial Farmer, which has been huge for us as well in driving engagement, new visits, even just spreading our footprint as it relates to being, online and our reach as well. And so we've really started to kind of like, how do we take what we've learned and all of that traction that we've built up on the ag side and translate that over to other various, lines of business, and, a big focus on growing small business and C&I type businesses. Focus on nonprofits is a big one for us too. So how do we kind of take that and translate that over to new verticals of business? And so we're definitely got a lot in the works around, again, community highlights, and especially now too, there's been even a lot of, other businesses and nonprofits that are in need of financial assistance through this too. So how do we take the current environment and use our Minnwest Bank platform to be able to tell their stories and amplify what they're doing in the community? And I think that that's in a authentic and very sincere way of, promoting and marketing in a very unique time without it being very product specific too. So we're definitely taking that and taking it to kind of the next level with other areas of business.
Now, John, you're at Equity Bank. What you've done is sort of in the same regard like that, but you've extended the voice across 4 states, and you've sort of pulled in content and content contributors from, all of those different locations. How has that worked in this time, and how do you see that being effective going forward?
So it's really worked well for us in this time. It did a couple things. Number one, it gets certain people in each community familiar with, how the content creation process works. And, there's a lot of communication we've put out in the last 4 or 6 weeks where, we've needed a photo or we've needed something different, and having that kind of chain throughout the organization to provide that, or to be willing to go get that, whether it's serving a customer through a drive-through, or really anything but the dreaded handshake photos. But just any types of assistance with content that we can get, we love that. And then we see it on the flip side when somebody in Harrison, Arkansas writes a post for us with a photo that shouts out a business that just got a PPP loan. We see the teams down there share it on their feeds and LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, and it's really, really cool. And social is one of the biggest tools that a community banker has in their toolbox, is to be able to share that content. And so that we call them the marketing marvels in our markets that submit content to us. Their ability to funnel that up, as well as share it and spread the word in their communities, is gold. It's really been successful for us. And my marketing manager, Katie Harris, was instrumental in that. She did an awesome job with it.
Awesome. Well, I love the marketing marvels. It's a great name too. We might need to adopt that around our office too. Everybody needs to be a little bit of a superhero. So one of the things we talked about is this elevating role of a marketer right now. So we're talking a lot about how you're reaching your community. But if we back up a step, you've got employees that are now working from home, working much longer hours, and dealing with a whole lot of stress. How have you both helped or been a part of the process of engaging employees in this time?
Do you want me to go? Or?
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, earlier on, we talked a little bit about kind of this delegation and bringing more people into the mix to be able to kind of do more, essentially, in a time where you really needed to do a lot. And we've pretty consistently done something, I would say, on a weekly basis as it relates to kind of staff engagement, or at least even customer-facing engagement, but things that staff could get really excited about in an otherwise really stressful and uncertain time as well. And so we've done a lot of things. Positivity bingo. This Friday we actually have for Financial Literacy Month, we're put financial education activity books and superhero capes together for parents to pick up, through the drive-through. We've done a lot of different. We had a What's for Dinner kind of campaign to help kind of promote the communities going and ordering and doing drive up and pick up, and sharing and promoting the local businesses. And obviously we've had some monetary incentives associated with that to support that. So we've done a lot of things, and again fairly consistently too. And I think that that's not only helped with staff morale and engagement, and also been wonderful content for social media as well, but it really has opened up the curtains of all of these things that marketing is doing. We are thinking about the customer. We are thinking about lending programs. We are thinking about internal communications. We are talking about employee morale. And so those are just some of the things that we've been doing, but have been really, really effective in a time where, it's been kind of very challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, there's John's back. Cat must have jumped over that webcam.
We lost you for a minute.
You back, John?
Did you guys lose me? Am I here?
Oh, we did lose you for just a second. John, did you have anything in the employee engagement to add to that? Oh, I don't know if you can hear us.
Me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can pop him out and bring him back in here.
Perfect.
We'll switch sides. Can you hear me now, John? Nope. Can't hear me. We can hear John though. So we'll let him hang out there for just a quick second while we think about he's looks like he's going to dial back in. So when we think about kind of this role of employee engagement, and Jody, you also mentioned the nonprofit engagement component.
Yeah.
How have you been interacting with nonprofits right now?
Yeah. Well, right now, really a lot of on the business side too. So we haven't just been dealing on the lending side for PPP and the business side. We really have the whole depository side that has really been instrumental in supporting all of these businesses through that process as well. With a lot of that, we've had a lot of the new account openings too, and the cash management onboarding to help that. And so that group has been instrumental in not only supporting those programs, but then the outreach to the various verticals of business too that do need support, and how can we as a community bank support them as well. And so specifically, nonprofits as well, as an economy goes into a recession, people's wallets, naturally tightened as well. What's going to happen to these nonprofits over the course of the next 3 to 6 months as well, or even longer, when people aren't giving or they're not being able to facilitate, their fundraisers that they typically would. And so at a local level, we've really tried to take a proactive approach. That darn cat. We've really tried to take a proactive approach of identifying these various nonprofits or fundraisers or community organizations that are needing support right now, and each branch that we have actually has a local designated budget and a local committee too. And so we've been very vocal about have the conversations, identify the organizations within your community that need assistance. This is what this money's for, give it to the people that need it. And then how can we also then support them with more longer term sustainable kind of strategies to help them, kind of weather the storm as well. So a lot of community outreach going on.
Awesome. John, can you hear us now?
I can hear you, and that is what marketing in this time requires, is the resilience to think on your feet and pivot. And if you're ever streaming on your phone doing one of these, try not to get a call, because that's what it was. It just
okay. Insider tip.
Yep. Pro tip.
We're very agile marketers.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
I just wanted you to have an excuse to prove it. Well, thanks, John. We were just talking as you were jumping in and out a little bit about nonprofit activity. Have you had some interactions with nonprofits in this time? Is there anything that you're doing specifically to kind of connect with them or to raise awareness for them?
Yes. I think what's important for a community bank is that you continue working with the nonprofits you have great relationships in place with, and we've certainly done that within our local communities. And before I cut out, Jody was talking a little bit about dinners for different aspects, or the market opened up for lunch or drive-through lunch boxes for people or things like that. And one of the things we really do is entrust our community bank leaders in all of our markets to do what's right for your community. And so if they want to organize something like that, they've always had the power to do it, and then we support them with marketing. We can help amplify it, and we've got the ability to turn that into content for our use as well. But I think being here for customers to show your community support is a big thing, and I think the PPP helped prove that you're going to back it up too, because there's you can look down the list of community PPP loans you've helped unlock for your customers, and a lot of them are nonprofits, and that's really rewarding to see. You look down that and you're like, wow, we really did make a difference.
Yeah.
That's huge. Well, we're just got a few minutes left, but I first wanted to thank both of you for being a part of this live stream experience. We're all testing your resiliency, and so thanks for jumping in. I know you didn't know it was going to be a test, but also I'm just a fan of both of yours. The way you guys are both running a brand and running your teams, I think is just fantastic. So thanks for helping to inspire me, our team, and a lot of other bank marketers out there. So thanks for that. But I also wanted to give you both the floor to share kind of what's next, and if you have any advice for marketers right now, like what are you thinking about? And what do you think is out there for the next steps?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go since I left Jody hanging for a few minutes. So I think what this is, the lesson I would give to marketers out there is, know your magic, and know the power you can have for your brand. There's a reason you're there, and you're able to do and work with different partners than perhaps others in the organization, and be able to turn that into messaging that proves valuable for your company. And the ability to pivot and to, as Jody mentioned, throw out the big project list that you may have had this year, and yet be able to learn and adapt and help tell your story over time is going to be huge. Huge for your company, huge for your brand, and huge for you. So make sure you harness that power and you take it to heart, and it influences everything you do from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
My phone. 5731. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
So, I have to just say too, from an advice perspective, we've talked a lot about this momentum that we've all gained, throughout this, process and the traction that we've made. And so how do we continue to take that momentum and grow and drive with it and turn it into this newly morphed strategy that can continue to grow for the bank. And I think if you've done a good job right now, you've gained a lot of credibility, you've gained a lot of visibility across the organization, you've gained a lot of trust. And so start putting those new ideas forward and start running with them, because I think that this momentum is a really, really good thing for marketers. And if we really take advantage of that and feel really confident in what we're capable of doing, I think we'll have some really amazing, marketing things happening.
Great advice. Thank you both for your time. And I hope to catch up and buy you both a drink sometime soon.
That sounds great.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hanley. See you
Good
soon,
to see you,
guys.
Jody. Thank you. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.